Comestibles for Cogitation by Humongous. Quote, "Welcome to Fantasy Island." Unquote. The slogan featured on Earth's tourism brochure. If you've been able to gulp down this much of the red pill, by now you should be questioning numerous beliefs you previously accepted as true. What follows are a few more considerations that should pave the path to enlightenment. Because intelligence is presently scattering like hash browns on a Waffle House skillet, contemplate the following. 1. Many claim the U.S. is the most wealthy nation ever. They're wrong. First off, as proven in Unraveled 2, when the fabric of quote-unquote reality rips to shreds, countries don't exist. They're figments of our imaginations, created by those who wish to control us. What was once claimed to be the property of some Native American tribes is now allegedly land owned by the United States. Prior to these American Indian control freaks, some other bureaucracies did their best to coerce people into believing they own this portion of the planet. And so on, and so on. Back in reality, nobody, from the original fuckhead hegemonies to the present assholes speciously declaring control, own anything on Earth. This universe is our landlord, and can evict us any time it pleases. Regimes come, and regimes go. Through them all, the planet has remained constant. Even after humans annihilate themselves with thermonuclear destruction, should this eventually occur, the Earth will be here. Thus, countries are nothing more than make-believe borders existent solely in our minds. Yes, that means we are all insane. If you still believe the Earth, a living being, recognizes these false boundaries we call nations, ask yourself if grass in the U.S. miraculously stops growing once it reaches the non-existent confines of Canada. Does wind from Mexico halt and turn back when it hits the fictitious perimeter of the United States? Do rivers stop flowing between the made-up edge of one nation in Europe and another? Get wise to the fact you've been brainwashed into accepting an imaginary reality and start hauling your ass out of this delusional paradigm. All that proven, the U.S., being the fictional territory it is not the most wealthy of countries. In truth, unbeknown to most, those residing within the illusory borders of this fraudulent region are amongst the most poor. Knowledge seems to be the currency of the cosmos. Don't believe us? Take a $100 bill to Mars. Even better, take all the $100 bills on Earth to Mars. Now take the ability to terraform and colonize that or any other planet into space. Which do you think will become more imperative in your travels? Do you seriously believe a $500 bill will buy you anything in a solar system 10,000 light years away? If so, you're delusional. That said, how much will the knowledge necessary to exist on faraway planets be worth when the one upon which you reside dies? Thus, money is useless throughout this universe. The same is true here on Earth. Knowledge is wealth. Having established this truth, since the non-existent region known as the U.S. is so comprised of money and so depleted of knowledge, most of its populace haven't an idea what's real. From a cosmic sense, the United States is bankrupt of wealth, and thus broke. Thanks to mainstream media, it's beaten into our brains that space travel is not profitable. Here's the last word on that subject. Unless we, as a species, find a way off planet Earth, we're fucked. Some natural event deemed a catastrophe from a human standpoint will eventually occur, and we'll have nowhere to run. Space exploration not profitable? Without it, arrogant assholes in the mainstream media will no longer be around when this universe destroys the planet upon which they're being allowed to live. 2. You hear it all the time. Thank God for this and thank God for that. People need to stop thanking God for their own achievements and start thanking themselves. 3. Isn't it strange how the oceans on Earth are one body of water, yet humans have divided them up as several? Exactly where does the Atlantic end and the Pacific begin? Think sea life in one ocean instinctively turns back once it reaches this imaginary line? How cavalier are we, one of millions of species on Earth, to believe we can designate the end of one ocean and the beginning of another? 4. If you don't believe this paradigm is insane, consider we have a clock that keeps us informed of how close we are to exterminating ourselves with nuclear weapons. Called the Doomsday Clock and developed in 1947, this allegorical timepiece is an obvious indicator of a sick society. Don't agree? Then how come we don't have clocks keeping us apprised of how close we are to ending human hunger or human poverty? 5. Could time be an implement of incarceration created by the powers that be to control the human species? People rush about constantly, putting themselves and others at risk, so they can adhere to this confining concept. Is it possible time solely exists on this planet and nowhere else in this universe? 6. Somebody paid good money for that. There's no such thing as good money. All money is bad. It keeps our species enslaved. 7. I want to thank you for everything you do. Great. Everything? Well, I shit. That's one of the things I do. Would you be thanking me for that? 8. At least we're no longer in the Cold War. Give us a fucking break. What follows is the dictionary.com definition of a Cold War. Quote, a continuing state of resentful antagonism between two parties short of open hostility or violence. Unquote. Wow! With tens of thousands of nukes on Earth, pointed at everything in sight, able to be launched in seconds, that doesn't sound at all like our current situation. We're deeply embroiled in a Cold War as we speak. Don't kid yourself. 9. We shout we're Americans, thus united, and then fuck each other out of a promotion. On the anniversary of 9/11, we profess our camaraderie and the next day sell each other shit we don't need so we can individually gain. 10. Doesn't the idea we're all born of sin smack of a lifetime of servitude, having to pay off our debt? Sounds like something a mafia enforcer would tell a small shop owner. How is an innocent infant who's never done anything besides breathe, eat, shit, and sleep born into sin?